Here is something most car channels will not tell you. The most expensive car you will ever own is the one that breaks down every 18 months. Not the one with the high sticker price. Not the one with the fancy interior. The one that quietly drains your bank account in repair bills, rental cars, and lost weekends waiting at a shop. Today we are talking about 3 sedans that mechanics genuinely respect. Not because they are exciting. Not because they look impressive in a parking lot. But because they do something rare in the modern automotive world. They just keep working. If you are buying a car on a budget and you want the lowest total cost of ownership over the next 10 years, stay with this video. These 3 picks might be the most financially intelligent decisions you ever make. Modern cars are engineering marvels, and that is part of the problem. Turbocharged engines that need specific oil weights. Dual-clutch transmissions with a 2-year learning curve before they behave properly. Infotainment systems that require software updates to function. Sensors monitoring sensors. The complexity is real, and so is the repair cost when something inside that complexity goes wrong. There is a category of car that the industry quietly stopped building. Call it quiet reliability. These are vehicles designed around proven, simple engineering. Engines that have run the same basic architecture for 15 or 20 years. Transmissions that mechanics have rebuilt in their sleep. Parts that cost $40 instead of $400. The 3 sedans in this video fall into that category. They are not glamorous. They will not impress anyone at a stoplight. But they represent something that newer vehicles rarely offer. Genuine peace of mind. Car 3. Mazda 3. 2010 to 2018. This is the one that surprises people. The Mazda 3 does not carry the same household name reliability reputation as the Corolla or Civic, and that is largely a marketing gap rather than a performance gap. Among mechanics who work on volume used cars, the Mazda 3 from this generation is consistently mentioned alongside those 2 Japanese rivals. The Skyactiv engine introduced in 2012 represents genuine engineering restraint in an era of automotive overcomplexity. High compression, naturally aspirated, mechanically simple, and tuned for longevity over peak performance numbers. Mazda has published internal goals of 100,000 hours of engine durability testing for Skyactiv components. That mindset shows up in real-world ownership data. Mazda 3 owners who perform standard maintenance regularly report crossing 200,000 miles with no major mechanical events. The suspension components are the most common wear items, specifically front-lower control arm bushings, which is neither unusual nor expensive in the context of a car this age. The honest weakness is the infotainment system in older examples, which has aged poorly and can be a source of minor frustration. This has no bearing on mechanical reliability but worth noting if tech features matter to you. Rust is also worth inspecting on vehicles from northern climates, particularly around the rear wheel arches. It is coachwork, not mechanical, but it matters for long-term ownership. What makes the Mazda 3 smarter than it looks is the fact that it is undervalued relative to its reliability. Because Mazda does not carry the brand premium of Toyota or Honda, comparable examples often sell for less. You are getting equivalent mechanical durability at a discount purely because of consumer perception. The Mazda 3 is ideal for buyers who want the reliability profile of a Corolla but prefer a more engaging driving experience. It handles well, feels well built inside, and does not punish you for enjoying the drive. Pattern interrupt. The average new car payment in the United States as of 2024 is over $700 per month. A well-chosen used sedan from this list, maintained properly, can cost less than that annually in all ownership expenses combined. The math on used Japanese reliability is not subtle. Car 2. Honda Civic, 2006 to 2015. The Civic exists in a slightly different reliability category than the Corolla. Where the Corolla is almost aggressively simple, the Civic brings a bit more engineering ambition, and the trade-off is a small additional layer of complexity. Mechanics still love it, but for slightly different reasons. The R18 and R20 engine families in this generation are known for being stout, efficient, and easy to service. The timing chain instead of a belt in many configurations removes one significant maintenance item entirely. Civics from this era have a strong reputation for hitting 200,000 to 300,000 miles, particularly when driven by owners who stayed on top of oil changes. The engine respects clean oil. Neglect that one detail and you will find out quickly. Maintain it properly and it will reward you with years of uneventful transportation. What fails on these cars tends to be peripheral rather than catastrophic. Air conditioning compressors can be temperamental. Power window regulators give up on higher mileage examples. The automatic transmission in some 2007 and 2008 models, particularly the four-cylinder automatics, has a documented sensitivity to overheating. This is not a death sentence, but it is worth knowing. A pre-purchase inspection specifically checking transmission fluid condition and color on those years is time well spent. The reason the Civic is smarter than it looks is its resale floor. This generation holds value at the low end of the market because the buyer pool is enormous. Parts are abundant, independent mechanics are confident working on them, and the aftermarket support means even specialized repairs are rarely dealer-only situations. Who should buy a Civic from this era? Anyone who wants slightly more driving engagement than the Corolla offers without stepping into a higher risk bracket. It is a practical choice for younger drivers, city commuters, and budget-conscious buyers who still want the car to feel like a car rather than an appliance. Pattern interrupt. A common myth is that higher trim levels are more reliable because they are better built. In most cases, higher trims simply add more electrical components, and more components mean more points of potential failure. A base trim Civic LX from 2010 is mechanically identical to the EX and has fewer things to go wrong. Car 1. Toyota Corolla, 2009 to 2019. Mechanics do not recommend the Corolla because of brand loyalty. They recommend it because when one rolls into the shop, they already know what is wrong before they open the hood. That kind of predictability has a dollar value. The 1ZZ and 2ZR engine families that power this generation have logged hundreds of millions of miles globally. The failure patterns are documented, the fixes are affordable, and the parts supply is enormous. In real-world ownership, a well-maintained Corolla from this generation routinely crosses 250,000 miles without major drivetrain work. Not occasionally, routinely. Fleet operators, taxi services in developing markets, and high-mileage commuters have stress-tested this platform for decades. The data is not anecdotal. It is overwhelming. Now, the honest part. The automatic transmission in the pre-2014 models is not its strongest feature. It shifts adequately but does not love aggressive driving, and if it has been neglected it will let you know around 150,000 miles. The solution is simple. Change the transmission fluid every 30,000 miles whether Toyota says you need to or not. Oil consumption can also appear in higher mileage examples of the 1ZZ engine. It is manageable but worth inspecting before purchase. Here is what most people miss about the Corolla. A 2013 example with 90,000 miles can be purchased for under $5,000 in most markets. The same money spent on a newer vehicle with a turbocharged engine and a CVT transmission carries a fundamentally different risk profile. You are not buying a used Corolla because you cannot afford better. You are buying it because you have done the math. The Corolla is best suited for commuters, first-time buyers, and anyone who drives significant annual mileage and wants repairs to be cheap when they do eventually happen. Pattern interrupt. A 2022 compact sedan with a turbocharged 1.0-liter engine and CVT can cost over 3 times more to maintain annually than a 2014 Corolla with a naturally aspirated 1.8-liter. More power on paper does not mean more reliability underneath. None of these cars will make your neighbors turn their heads. None of them will be the most exciting thing you have ever driven. But 10 years from now, when you have not had a single repair bill over $1,000, when your car simply starts every morning and does its job without drama, you will understand why mechanics talk about these platforms the way they do. Long-term car ownership is not a glamour decision. It is a financial one. The buyers who understand that tend to make fundamentally different choices than the buyers chasing newer features, and those choices compound over time. A dollar not spent on a blown turbo or a failed transmission is a dollar that stays in your life. Before you go, here is something worth thinking about. Most people spend more time researching a vacation than they do researching one of the largest purchases of their life. If you owned one of these cars, Or if you walked away from one for a reason that turned out to be wrong, leave that story in the comments. Real ownership experience is more valuable than any reliability index, and this community learns from it.